And welcome back to the Airshow Room podcast. In today's episode, we have an absolute plethora of airshow announcements to talk about, some controversial things to talk about towards the end of this podcast, and some really, really cool acts that have been announced over the last couple of weeks. My name is Dan, I am your host for today's podcast, and joining me are my two co-hosts, Harry.
Hello.
And Chloe.
Hello.
I don't know about you guys, but I think we should probably get straight into the big one, straight into the one that we are definitely going to be talking a lot about, and that's Midlands Air Festival. So what have they announced over the last couple of weeks?
We've got about 5 talking points, but we'll start with the Rolls-Royce Heritage Flight Spitfire.
So I think we talked about this on the podcast when we had Helen Webb on, that a Spitfire is like the almost be-all, end-all, I guess, of a British airshow. It just does not feel right if we don't have one of those at the airshow. I'm pretty sure, Harry, you will agree with that.
Oh, 100%. I would agree with you. It wouldn't be the same without one of Britain's most famous aircraft flying at sort of shows. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
And I believe, am I right by saying that the Spitfire is a Griffin engine Spitfire compared to the normal Merlin?
It is, yeah, V12 Griffin engine to be precise.
And then obviously normally I think they pair up with the Mustang, but that hasn't been announced yet. We have got a Mustang at Midlands Air Festival we've talked about last couple of podcasts ago, but yeah, they haven't brought their Rolls-Royce Mustang. Oh my god, I can't remember my words out. Also, speaking on the idea of historic aircraft, keeping on with that, we got, well, something sort of an addition of what we had last year. We had the Sea King from his historic helicopter last year perform a singular display, but Midlands Air Festival have announced this year that we are having a pairs display from the same Sea King we saw last year from historic helicopters, but also their Whirlwind.
Which, for those engine nerds out there, you'll know that the Sea King has a Rolls-Royce gnome engine.
And what type of display are we sort of getting them from these two?
A full roll demo, so there'll be formations and winching demonstrations. So it's definitely one to look forward to see how they work in action.
Yeah, I think last year getting some photos of the Sea King on its own, I think especially in sort of the cauldron / I don't know how you describe it, sort of the area of the Ragley Hall estate. It was really, really cool to see the Sea King about, but having both of them together is, again, really, really cool. I think also, if any of you are interested in behind-the-scenes stuff, Historic Helicopters have been... they've got a YouTube series up, I think, about taking the Sea King and Whirlwind to Midlands Air Festival. So if any of you are interested behind the scenes of that, go support them out, because the first episode was out last week, and it was really, really interesting to see behind the scenes.
And speaking of behind the scenes, for the people who actually care about the schemes, if you notice, the Sea Kings will have a yellow livery, which is for the RAF Search and Rescue variant, but they also have a red and grey livery, but for the Royal Navy Search and Rescue. So that's how you distinguish between the two.
Harry, you obviously a history buff. With sort of this sort of stuff, how do you feel seeing something like a Whirlwind, one of the first proper search and rescue helicopters, I guess, designated for the UK? How do you feel about seeing this? Because I've never seen one before. I think I've seen one in museums, but I've never actually seen one fly.
I mean, it's always difficult. It's almost really difficult to put into words. Like I've always nowadays we're all used to seeing, helicopters being, quite a staple of everything. But way back when, this is when helicopters were still, first being, field tested, and obviously they look very different to what we would consider a helicopter now. But obviously seeing it in such an important role, in such a, search and rescue, I think it's honestly a really cool, and people will be for an absolute treat seeing these display, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, me and Chloe, we were talking about this probably about a week ago when it was announced. We were talking about how it's kind of like predecessors, isn't it? Because the Whirlwind was sort of your first, and the Sea King was your sort of carry-on from the Whirlwind in terms of your search and rescue helicopters, which would be a cool see of almost like I don't want to say modern, because the Sea King isn't really a modern helicopter anymore, but it's sort of that modern and old kind of idea.
I would say the best way to say it is like it was probably what we would first consider the first modern helicopter in terms of like appearance. Like, because obviously before helicopters their appearance was not consistent because they hadn't found the formula yet. But I would say, in my own opinion, I would say that the Sea King is what we would probably consider the first like true appearance of how a helicopter should look.
Yeah, it's that sort of big, bulky, beefy sort of looking helicopter. It's up there for me with the Merlin. The Merlin is also another one of those helicopters which just has some massive presence in the sky. I remember last year as well looking at it. It had a huge presence in terms of, how it felt, because Ragley Hall Estate, it's not a big space, so it kind of does fill that area. I remember even when we got in and we sort of walked over the top of the hill, and sort of go down into the natural bowl, and you saw it parked up behind one of the trees, and it just looked humongous.
Oh yeah,
and yeah, it's just a brilliant helicopter. So we've had, well, speaking of aircraft that have been here sort of the last year, the gyro was also announced recently, which we talked about when it's been announced, I believe, for Old Buckingham Airshow. I believe it's been announced in the past for this year. Again, a brilliant staple sort of from the airshow scene. It just really, really fits that. Again, we talk about the display area, the display bowl. It is such a unique area, and also it uses I don't want to call it a runway strip, but there is a strip of grass that goes up into the trees in the hills in front of you, and honestly, the gyro racing up and down there and doing its tight turns is one of the coolest things that you will ever see. I said on the podcast we talked about Old Buckingham, how are they going to match that sort of thing, because it's obviously a different area. So a brilliant aircraft.
And for those of you that want to know more about the display pilot, he's known as the world's greatest gyroplane display pilot, Peter Davis, who always brings incredible displays to air shows, and he's also one of the most requested displays that Midlands gets year in, year out, so it just shows how brilliant of a display pilot he is. And as Midlands wrote in their update post, Peter will do things that other pilots would tell you can't be done in a gyroplane, but no one has told Peter yet, so he's definitely not one to miss.
I think one of the crazy ones.
He is one of the crazy ones, absolutely. Like I said, when he's bombing it up and down that tree line, it's honestly one of the coolest things ever.
Basically, Rich Goodwin in a helicopter.
Rich Goodwin in an auto gyro, yeah. Right, we have skirted around it. We have skirted around it. Shall we get onto the thing that we probably should have started this thing with? Harry, go on.
Oh, I honestly have been holding this in the entire time. The Midlands Air Festival have announced that a display of a MIG-17F, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to see one of these aircraft fly. I'm ecstatic.
I have never seen so much panic in a person, not knowing whether or not they can attend an air show. When me or Chloe posted into our group that this MiG-17 was attending, and the sheer panic on Harry's sort of responses of, oh my god, I have to make this.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that I am attending, because this is hands down one of my favourite Cold War aircraft. I mean, a couple of years ago I saw a Sabre fly, and that was awesome, but this is a bucket item, is to see a MiG fly.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling to put into words. I am very excited.
I think that's probably an understatement, to be honest. It's quite ironic, isn't it? Because it was only probably a couple of podcast episodes ago we were talking about, what would we like to see at RIAT, with it being a fighter theme and everything. And Midlands are just like, RIAT, hold our beer. Like,
yeah, they announced the one aircraft I wanted to see.
So, props to Midlands. I mean, granted, I will throw some caution here onto the announcement of, one, it's only first taxied about 3 days ago and done its first taxi run. It has not flown yet in from where it is based, which Chloe, I'm pretty sure, can tell us a bit more of where it's based.
Yeah, it's been based in Poland at the minute when they were restoring it, and it will be the only flying one in Europe as long as it actually
Touch wood.
Flies.
stays up fully refurbished.
Yeah, so I believe it was originally based at Northfields or St Athens quite a while ago. It got shipped over to Poland, which the group that are restoring the MiG-17, by the way, have some other projects. I think they have another MiG-17 that they want to get. So they want to get two. And I believe there was a rumour they've even acquired a MiG-29 from MiG-29 from the Polish Air Force as well, that they also want to get flying. So it's probably one to look out for over the next 5 or 10 years over the airshow scene. I mean, if they've got one MiG-17 flying, I mean, could you imagine if there was two? I think Harry would die.
I think that's probably an understatement. I probably would. It's just because this aircraft is honestly just, when you think of, well, at least to me, when I think of Cold War aircraft, especially early jets, it's always the early MiGs that come to mind.
It's the MiG or the Sabre, isn't it? It's that open air intake right at the front.
Yeah, and the slope back wings, which is a design you don't. Which is obviously this is when some of the first aircraft that used these sorts of things. And as another fun fact, which some people, to those who might not know this aircraft is still technically in service.
It is, yeah.
In North Korea.
Yes,
which may not be surprising to some people, but it is still being used by North Korea's air service, which we don't really tend to know much about, but this is one confirmation that it is very much in limited service with the.
Yeah, I think to be fair to Midlands Air Festival, they are ultimately at this moment in time single-handedly keeping the classic jet sort of flying era around in the UK, because over the past 3 years we've had a Draken from the Swedish Historic Flight, we've had the Sabre last year, and now we've got a MiG-17 again. Touch wood that it makes its first flight and is ready to come over. But I mean, they said that on one of the comments, it's not the last classic jet that they're going to try and get at the show. So what else have Midlands Air Festival got up their sleeves? We won't know. Probably till later down the line, but they are single-handedly. We were meant to have a Vampire last year. Again, went tech. We had another aircraft as well. Oh, I can't remember what it was. I can't remember. There was meant to be another one, and again, it went tech. So, again, brilliant props to Midlands Air Festival. Fingers crossed for them, and sort of this getting new air displays, I guess, each year. And I'm sure there are going to be some other air shows on the phone after that, ringing up the team with the MiG-17 and going, hey, you know how you've confirmed for Midlands Air Festival? Is there any chances you could come to our air show? And it would not surprise me if it's announced at one or two more once it's made its first flight, I think.
Oh, indeed. And it's actually just in this moment I've just thought of something that if the MiG-17 flight is successful and it can fly, obviously what would be a very cool idea for a display would be a simulated dogfight between the MiG and a Sabre. I know it's probably highly unlikely, but just the image of it, that would be pretty much almost a classic early Cold War jet dogfight, which would be a treat to see.
Yeah,
one can hope.
One can hope, and it would not surprise me if in the future, a couple of years down the line, once this MiG-17 has been on the display circuit for a while, if we see something like that, whether or not it's in mainland UK, but mainland Europe, somewhere down the line.
But props to Midlands for announcing this, because I am now very excited.
So, speaking of cool announcements, we'll move on to the next air show. And it was only announced today as of recording, which is the 16th of February, is the Headcorn International Airshow. So this didn't used to be an international airshow, did it? It used to be a separate show.
Yeah, it used to be known as the Battle of Britain Airshow, and has been updated for this year.
So they've sort of teased this idea it's going to be an international airshow, and yet we probably hadn't had any official international participants until today. Which we got the AH1 Cobra from the Czech Republic in the flying display, which we saw at Duxford Summer Air Festival, Summer Air Show last year.
I'm pretty sure it was a summer one, yeah.
Which we got some brilliant photos of. We went and met the team, got a poster, got a patch.
We did.
If you bought a patch, you could either get, was it a free poster or was it a free Czech beer? Was one of the things that you could get?
Yeah, those were the two options, poster or beer.
Which I was driving, so... and I don't drink alcohol, so two things there that sort of put it down. But again, it's a really cool difference to other people that sell patches, isn't it?
Yeah. Plus, you can never say no to a free poster, especially when it looks that good.
Yeah, the poster was brilliant. I need to get it up on a wall somewhere, unfortunately. But yeah, brilliant announcement. And again, it's the first international appearance, so they can finally call it an international air show. But again, it's that sort of historic again. I know Harry's probably going to get excited again. We're going to that Cold War era of the Cobra.
Yes, so on the topic of the AH1 Cobra, like for me, just this is literally the toy. This is the aircraft that you used to find in those buckets of Green Army men and all that. They literally use this exact same. This is what they used to model it. Which is I know quite a unusual thing to start with, but it's just something I've always noticed and was always wanted to point out, and what a perfect place to point that out.
Yeah, they had to pull something different because I'll run through the list of aircraft that we've currently got at Headcorn Airshow. So we have the P-51 Moonbeam McSwime, we have the Bouchon, we have a Hurricane, we have the Flying Comrades. By the way, brilliant display team. From that we've seen multiple times, I think, at Duxford, at least twice now.
Yeah, at least twice.
A Spitfire, a Catalina, and also they've got the Last Dogfight, which the last time I saw the Last Dogfight, I think, was at the Victory Show last year, where we saw it. Which I learned that the Last Dogfight was actually not between any aircraft you'd expect, but it was between two Scout aircraft, and the dogfight consisted of guns of their sidearms out of their windows. And that was considered majorly the last dogfight of World War II.
Which is just... It's fact is stranger than fiction, that's all I'm going to say. Fact is honestly stranger than fiction.
But yeah, it's a really, really cool lineup so far. I think you've got all probably the UK regulars of, your Bouchon. I'm sure you'll get it up with a Spitfire or a Hurricane, and it can, you can have a little bit of a dogfight. You've got Moonbeam McSwime, a good P-51. You've got Miss Pickup Catalina. Again, we'll talk about Miss Pickup later down the line. Yeah, it's just turned out to be a nice little show.
And also something that we should also bring up, regarding the fact is that the on the confirmed list of aircraft for the Headcorn International Show is the appearance of the Swordfish, which for me is one of my... This rugged little thing is probably one of my favourite biplane aircraft ever, just because of what this plane has done. Most of the stuff that this plane has done has been it's been downright crazy, and it would be nice to see that appearing at Headcorn.
I guess it's probably the sort of Westland Terrier of planes, isn't it? It's this little dog that honestly doesn't look very vicious, but I tell you what, once you get it in the right conditions, the right sort of state, it is a damn good plane. I mean, isn't the story... It sank the Big Spark.
Yeah, it knocked out the rudder.
Yeah, it's... was also a part of Gibraltar. I believe before they got Hurricanes, they used them, I believe. So it's got one little history behind it. And
yes, and another interesting fact that this is also the aircraft that managed to completely scupper the Italian Navy at the Battle of Taranto. It completely... a handful of these planes managed to completely... They almost immobilise most of Italy's fleet in one decisive battle. What was at the time considered a piece of junk, and at the point of retirement, long past retirement, managed to scupper a modern naval fleet. that should tell you just the insane stuff that that the Swordfish has done.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's one brilliant aircraft. And again, it joins that lineup of lots and lots of cool aircraft, lots of classic cool aircraft at the Headcorn International Airshow. And I'm sure it's not going to be the last that we hear about Headcorn and we talk about Headcorn in our air shows. So, next airshow, one that we talked about a lot. We'll move on to Hampshire. So, if any of you did not listen to our last podcast episode, we had Helen Webb, who is the head of marketing at the Hampshire Air Festival and also has been head of marketing at RIAT for a while, come on and discuss everything to do with Hampshire. And there are a few other little things that we haven't talked about since that, where they've invited or they've announced a couple of new aircraft. So the first thing is we talked about the night segment on that podcast with Helen Webb, and we hadn't actually had anything announced, but we knew that there was going to be fireworks, we knew that there was going to be a drone display, and they have announced the first pyrotechnic sort of display. It is going to be on both days. They are going to fly on the Sunday and the Saturday, but on the Saturday the Fireflies display team are going to be doing a nighttime pyrotechnic show with fireworks and things popping off the wings, which I'm sure will be absolutely excellent to see.
Indeed.
Also, they've announced one of the Air Extreme XA41, which also has been announced at one of the Shuttleworth shows as well, which is basically a super duper aerobatic, I guess, monoplane. So we have sort of Richard Goodwin and his jet pits already announcing, but also we have the X41 as well, which again is going to be probably even upping the level of aerobatics even more. And also, this is not confirmed, this has not been announced by Hampshire Air Festival themselves, but on the Red Flying Bulls display team calendar, which we'll come on to very, very shortly, they had the Hampshire Air Festival under consideration as well. So, potentially, another very cool announcement to come from Hampshire Air Festival as well. But I just say, for me, that nighttime segment and that evening segment, sort of twilight at Hampshire Air Festival, is going to be my favourite part. I don't know about you.
Well, actually, I would say one other confirmed aircraft that actually I think, to me, alongside the night display, that I'm very much looking forward to hearing more about is the appearance of the Yak 3, which I've only just now discovered is attending, which is a very nice surprise for me, because obviously this is a historical aircraft, but this is actually an example of historical aircraft from the Eastern Front.
Yeah.
This was primarily the Soviet Union's predominant fighter.
So we talked with Helen last time that they wanted to sort of go through the entire history of flight, I guess, and getting different aircraft. They announced a Spitfire, as we talked about in the last episode as well, and yeah, it's just that storytelling. You're gonna be able to discuss all these different points of going through those years, and yeah, the Yak 3 is definitely gonna be a part of that history. And also, the only thing is, it's not necessarily a full blown restoration project. It doesn't have the original engine due to just lack of parts. I think it has a more modern engine in it, but I cannot remember what it has in it.
Yes, I just actually found the details. It is a Pratt & Whitney R-18330 twin Wasp engine with about 1,200 horsepower. That's the engine that's powering the Yak 3.
So brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And again, Hampshire Air Festival is one that we are definitely looking forward to this year. And again, the night segment is going to be my highlight of this one. So,
and just one other last addition, just regarding the Yak 3, you will when you see this fly, you will see why it earned such a face and reputation as the Soviet Union's more predominant fighter, because it might be small, but it is it's probably one of the most nimble aircraft, and it actually was quite small compared to other aircraft. It's much smaller than a Spitfire, and much smaller than the 109s, but it earned its reputation. It might have been small, but it had bite.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so following on from Hampshire is another air show that we've talked about a couple of times. Is Shuttleworth. Now, I say air show, it's air shows, isn't it? Because they have multiple events throughout the year. For their Wings and Wheels show, which is their second show of the year, they are announcing, or have announced, two. They've announced the jet bits. Oh, sorry, one.
You've put that in Festival of Flight, one in with Wings and Wheels into the festival.
I'll start again. So another show that we talked about a couple of times on the podcast, or shows as an example, is the Shuttleworth shows. And they have announced a couple of different acts for multiple of their shows. So we'll start with the Wings and Wheels show, which is their second show of the season, where they have announced the amazing Richard Goodwin that we've already talked about so far on the podcast, also attending other shows as well so far in the UK this year, which will be a brilliant sight in the small little airfield that is Shuttleworth.
I always say that anyone who straps a jet engine to a prop plane is probably one of the best pilots out there, or as some people call them, crazy pilots.
Do you know what, though? Crazy pilots are some of the best pilots, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yep.
Just because some of the things that... I mean, he's been on the airshow season for ages. He's had non-jet pits. He's had a normal pits S2S that's been highly modified. And now he's got his jets. His display is just up a notch again and again.
Also shows how important innovation is. Because we wouldn't have it if he didn't come up with an idea of just sticking a random jet
I was about to
to the back of it.
I was about to say, how much innovation is it? He must have gone home from a pub and just gone, right, I've had an idea. This may sound stupid, but I want to put 2 jet engines on one of my pit specials. And his engineers that he works with must have gone, right. And then him gone, so can we do it? And they went, yeah, but we've got a lot to work out. And then, well, we're now here with his nice blue S2S jets pits. Yeah, it absolutely is one of the coolest displays on the airshow scene. Genuinely, like, I don't know, that guy must have like 7 workouts every time he flies, because the amount of G-force that he pulls is insane. Insane. Alright, for the Festival of Flight, we have 2 new announcements. First one, airshow regular from Sywell, is P47.
Also known as Nelly B.
Who is appearing at that show, which is the show that we've already talked about on one of these podcasts, where I think they have all the Flying Bull stuff as well, don't they? That show. And I think as well in one of the comments they said that the P47 might be operating from the airfield as well, which with its curved display line is going to have some very nice topsides. Hello, please. It reminds me going back to sort of the Victory show last year and the topsides we got there of the Mustang and stuff.
And another nickname that people referred it to used to be Jug, because at the time people thought the nose was akin to a common milk jug.
Oh, I did not know why that was actually why it was called the Jug.
Yeah.
Trying to think what sort of milk jug it looked like, I guess.
Well, it's definitely not a Canadian milk jug.
But all the merrier. We're going to see that lots and lots of shows this year, and I'm sure if any of you attend any of the shows, it'll probably be quite regular as well.
One last fun fact as well. It was the largest and heaviest single-seater piston-engined fighter in history, as it weighs in at 7 tons, and it's also the most numerous American fighter ever produced.
Is it?
According to every website I've looked at, yes.
I'd have thought it'd been something else, something like the Kitty Hawk or the Mustang or something like that. But because even when I was researching like the Red Bull stuff, the Lightning was really heavily produced, but I didn't realise it was the most produced. But I guess though, for that ground attack when it was in sort of Central Europe, it was it was his main priority, wasn't it? Attacking trains and stuff.
And he was hugely successful in high altitude escort as well.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me either. That big radial engine must have been quite good up in that sort of high altitude. The other thing that was announced for the Festival of Flight, only 2 days ago, was the Avro Anson Mark 1 from the RAF station Czech Republic, which has announced Shuttleworth as one of its keyword of its shows this year, which is a rare sight. It is the only Mark 1, I believe, in Europe, in the world.
In the world.
In the world. And we saw it, was it Battle of Britain Airshow last year?
Yes.
Again, well, in pretty windy conditions at the time, but it's going to be brilliant. And hopefully, we might be able to get it in formation with another Anson. Because I think we've got a couple in the UK, at least another one in the UK, which might be part of the Shuttleworth collection, actually. But hopefully, fingers crossed.
A couple of fun facts with that. There was the first RAF aircraft to feature a retractable undercarriage, and also the first monoplane type to achieve squadron service.
Oh! That's very, very cool.
And an additional fun fact, just in regards to the overall model, it wasn't retired until June 1968. Long after it was manufactured, and long after it was in its prime serving.
That's a very long service life.
Yes.
Very, very long.
But it had its uses.
And again, what will be a brilliant display with using the curved display line, lots of chances for some more topside passes and stuff, which will look really, really cool in its camo. And a great addition to see the team from the Czech Republic bringing it back to the UK this year. And it's not going to be its only show, according to their website. Nice little segue there onto Cosford, where on their website they have also got Cosford, which was down as a potential and is now down as a confirmed, though yet to be confirmed by Cosford Airshow itself. Which, speaking of Cosford Airshow, we might as well move on to Cosford, where we've had the first set of announcements, both their, what do they call their Friday thing? Flying Friday? I can't remember.
I think it was flying, I can't remember.
And then their Static Sundays as well, which... We've had 6 announcements so far from Cosford. The first being...
Sally B-17, which is also the only airworthy B-17 based in Europe.
Yeah, so we had the B-17 was the first announcement of the Cosford Airshow, which again, I guess it's a staple now, isn't it? It's been the show for ages. It's great to see, you see it at lots of different shows across the UK, and it'll be another brilliant sight at Cosford this year.
And it's also maintained solely by a team of volunteers and relies on donations to keep it maintained. So there is a site out there that allows for that if anyone's interested.
Yeah, I believe it's the same with Miss Pickup, Catalina, as well. It's the same thing. I think you can even become a shareholder with Miss Pickup as well. So I don't know whether or not that's something you could potentially do with B-17, because I think you even get to have flights in Miss Pickup as well. So that's just a side-tracking fact that we'll come back to very shortly.
Yeah, so for Sally B, they do a Sally B supporters club where you become a member of that. And they also rely on the sales of souvenirs and things like that as well.
Oh, so things like patches, keyrings, prints, yeah. Okay. The second thing to announce, Cosford, which is probably the big one out of the 3, I'd say, for this one, and it's the one we've already sort of mentioned, this one, this is actually confirmed, is the Flying Bulls actual display team, which will be attending the show for the first time, I believe, which is amazing. If any of you have had the privilege of seeing this, and now my privilege of seeing this is sat on a settee on YouTube. I've seen these fly, but they have some absolutely insane manoeuvres in formation, both positive and negative G loops and things. Oh my word, what a display it's going to be, especially with the Cosford Airfield.
And for those of you that like knowing who the pilots are, I can't pronounce the names, so I'm not going to attempt to, so I don't risk getting them wrong. But all bar one is a seasoned Gripen fighter pilot, and the other one will be a freelance airshow pilot, and apparently they're some of the best.
Are they Czech Gripen pilots, I assume, with being... Or
I think so.
I think they're based in the Czech Republic,
I'm
so
pretty sure they are.
I'd assume so. Because I know some of the other stuff is based in Austria, but the Austrians don't have Gripens, do they? So
Yeah.
it must be the Czechs. Again, which some of the manoeuvres, I mean, there's a negative G loop, basically like 2 manoeuvres into the airshow, which is just insane. It kind of reminds me back to when the Belgian F-16 was displaying, and the pilot for that used to do all the negative G stuff. Negative G is very impressive. To the crowd, probably most of the general public wouldn't know the difference, but when you see a negative G manoeuvre, it is just brilliant.
So to be specific, the display features gravity-defying feats like perpendicular climbing half rolls, vertical formation loops, mirrored acrobatics and inverted loops, and that's all stated on the website, so you can try and find out what exactly they do if you're interested. I'm
not gonna lie, just the manoeuvres you've just named there have made me feel dizzy. So, yeah, I think one it's going to fit the Cosford environment well. I think sometimes you can have these big display teams go to these sort of shows, and it can feel quite. The air show can feel quite small to the air show, but also I think it's the same when if like in the Jordanian Falcons, nothing against the Jordanian Falcons, like at a RIAT. It feels quite a distant / the airfield's quite big for it, where Cosford's probably the right size for this sort of display.
Yeah.
I think the Jordanian Falcons have been at Cosford before, and I think they do feel like a lot better of a display compared to previous stuff.
So out of the manoeuvres I've just mentioned, which ones are you two looking forward to seeing the most?
I'm sticking with my one that I've already said, and saying negative G. Anything negative G, probably the negative G loop. Wow. Yeah, it's just impressive. It doesn't look impressive, but it's impressive. Go on, Harry, what one are you looking forward to?
I would probably have to say, I'd have to probably agree with you as well, than the negative G loop.
Yeah.
It's...
Should I throw one back at you, Clay, and put you on the spot? What's the one that you're looking forward to from what you've mentioned then?
See, I'm going to be different, because anyone that knows me knows I'm a sucker for a nice roll.
You are, yeah.
And climbing half rolls sound very interesting, but also I do like an inverted loop as well. So it's between those two. It's too difficult to pick. It's like asking to pick your favourite child between those two.
Oh dear. You killed us both off with that one.
I was having a drink.
Swiftly moving on then, so before we kill off Harry for a second time this podcast, they've also announced then the Mustang pair as well, which I think was this last Friday's announcement, which was Jersey Jerk and the new Mustang.
Hurry Home Honey was
Hurry Home Honey, yeah, because it's the one that I could never say.
Yeah.
Will be attending the show, and we've kind of got, I guess, from the picture that they announced, the first look, I'll say in quotation marks, of what Hurry Home Honey is going to look like. So if any of you haven't seen the Cosford announcements, they do sort of like a pixelated version of the aircraft, and then you have to get it at 12 o'clock, and then at 7 p.m. the same day they announce what it is. And from the top-down view, it looks like it's green on top with some white stripes on the wings and some red and yellow checkered, which I think we talked about on one of the previous podcasts. Is when we Googled it, that's what it looked like. Yeah. So it seems to look like either A, they've done the same and Googled it, or that is what the plans for the aircraft are looking like. Now, the reason why I say that is because for those eagle-eyed that keep an eye out on the sort of Sywell's social media and stuff, they actually announced, or they actually put a video on there, that was showing them putting together Hurry Home Honey, and everything seemed very silver and didn't have much green on. So I will be intrigued to see in the near future whether or not it does have that green that Cosford have got on, or whether or not it is going to be a separate scheme, which I guess we'll find out shortly down the line. But nevertheless, very, very cool, and will be great to see in the skies. So not only do we have the flying announcements, we also have the static announcements, which I think he's probably got one of the most unique static items that I can think of in the past couple of years at Cosford, which is
the MQ-9 Reaper.
So I believe that the MQ-9 Reaper is actually going to become part of the RAF Museum collection at Cosford in the next couple of years. But they have said that they are going to have it on static display this year to get up close and personal with, which I can't think the last time that the only show I can think of, it must be, is RIAT, that we've had an MQ-9 Reaper on, and it's not in the last 4 or 5 years that we've had one. So, yeah, I mean, from Cosford, a brilliant pull, and showing a bit of, I guess, modern history with the MQ-9 Reaper. Now it's out of service with the RAF. But yeah, just, wow.
It's definitely going to be an interesting one to get up close and personal with. And for those of you that don't know what it is a medium altitude, long endurance unmanned aerial vehicle capable of remotely controlled flight operations.
There we go.
And another little fun fact, which might actually be quite surprising or funny, depending on how you look at it. Obviously, listing its branches of services, serving with the United States Air Forces, the Royal Air Force, the Italian Air Force, but also serves with the US Customs and Border Protection.
Right, yeah.
Which is, yeah, so, I don't even know how to respond to that, to be honest.
Neither do I, and I think we'll swiftly move on to the two other static announcements, which is the Chipmunk, which is on static, which I believe is it 80 years since the
80 years.
Yeah, since the Chipmunk's first flight, and also we got the Miss Pickup Catalina as well, which we've talked about previously, which is also on static. Which I think we were both, me and Chloe both discussed that we were quite surprised to see it on static display, but I think it's going to be nice to get up close and personal and get around to have a look at it.
Yeah, it'd be a nice change to see it on the ground as well as flying.
Yeah.
Because I think I've only ever seen it flying, to be fair. I don't think I've ever had a chance to get up close and personal with it.
Yeah, I think the only show... Was it at RIAT last year on static? Maybe?
I don't remember.
I can't remember. I think it might have been. There's that many planes at RIAT that, quite frankly, my brain doesn't remember. But yeah, so that is Cosford and what they've announced, and I'm sure we'll get some really cool things left. So the last airshow we're going to talk... Well, the last airshow set of announcements we're going to talk about. We have one more airshow we're going to talk about after this, and then potentially getting me riled up and ranting after that, so stay tuned for that, is Abingdon Air Festival. So Abingdon's kind of grown in size over the last couple of years, and they are having quite a distinct theme to their airshow this year, which is a primarily helicopter-themed display. So they have announced 4 acts so far. They've announced Lynx from Project Lynx. They've announced the Sea King from Historic Helicopters. They've announced the Bell 47, one of the only ones in Europe, and also the entire Gazelle Squadron, which is a flight of 4 Gazelles, will be attending the show as part of their new kind of, I guess, theme for this year, which is helicopters. Which, as if you can't see this, is Chloe is grinning very much at the prospect of these helicopters. As we've mentioned, you have a soft spot for them, don't you?
I do. I feel like they're underrated, and there's quite a few people that don't appreciate them as much as they probably should. But I feel like that's because we're in a generation that tend to prefer fast jets and historical aircraft. Yeah,
so it's... I think as well as it's going to suit the Abingdon sort of airfield, to be quite a small sort of venue, which will do well with all of these helicopters. Which, if any of you don't know, my favourite helicopter is the Western Lynx. It's just when I was young, growing up, I wanted to go and join the Army Air Corps and be part and fly the Western Lynx, do all the aerobatics and things for it, because it's one cool helicopter, and I think Historic Helicopters have actually, speaking of, we've spoken about their YouTube video at the start of this, they actually did a YouTube video on their Lynx, because they have 2, they have a Navy Lynx and an Army Lynx that they have, and also they have Project Lynx as well. I think they have 3. that they are all helping with, either, whether or not it's Project Links or other their own sort of aircraft. And yeah, it's just one hell of an aircraft, one hell of a helicopter.
Also, quick little side note to do with the air show. On the website, for most of the helicopters that have announced so far, you'll be able to chat with the crew on the ground about the aircraft, which I think is interesting. Because there's not many air shows you can actually go and chat to the crew and get an in-depth and chat about the aircraft and their experience with the aircraft.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. You know, that's one of the best parts about, I always say about RIAT, is going around the crews, because they're around their aircraft. You can go and speak to them and you discuss things. You know, you can do what we did last year and surprise the Spanish Sikorsky S-76 crew, and they're like, why do you want to have a look around our helicopter? And because I literally said to them, I said, because it's cool. And they looked at me very weirdly, almost like I was insane for liking their helicopter.
Either that or you've been paid to go up to them so that they have someone go up to them.
Well,
either.
I do appreciate a rare item, and there again, and that was one of my highlights. It was probably one of the most missed items at RIAT, but yeah, one of the rarest, because it's the first time we've ever had one in the UK. So, yeah.
And it's nice feeling talking to crew that don't get the appreciation they probably should do with all the effort they put into giving us amazing displays and getting their aircraft over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Indeed.
All right. Shall we move on to RIAT?
Yep, let's get it out.
Don't sound so forced.
No, I'm not getting it forced. That's not me intending it forced. I want to hear you rant.
Oh, I've been poked by Clay. She wants to talk about the Sea King at Abingham.
Yeah, they're going to get a slightly different schemed one with theirs, because they've said that they're aiming to get a camo scheme Sea King, which has patches of orange on it. So it's quite a unique scheme, because I don't think I've ever seen one of that scheme before.
Is that in the scheme of the Belgian Air Force?
Yes, they're getting the ex-Belgian Air Force Sea King over for it.
Brilliant. Oh, that's cool. I think we've seen that on Static Display at RIAT as well. One of the, not last year, but a couple of years before as well. It's been on Static Display. I remember it being up towards the Western Loop. So
it's a very unusual livery, but it's almost.
Is it green, yellow, and red?
It's green, tan, and orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird. Hey ho, the Belgians doing cool livery. I mean, it's better than just the plain grey that we have, I guess.
That's true.
Definitely.
100%.
All right, let's move on to RIAT then. Let's go on to RIAT. So, for those of you that, well, you won't know, and this will become a regular thing that we do, and we'll get you guys involved with this as well on our social media. So wait for that post to come out. I think I might have already done a post for that, but we'll do it. Is that we do predictions every year for RIAT. So we guess the theme, and we guess a static and a flying item that we think is going to attend the show. Or, well, we hope is going to attend the show. And then we have like a points leaderboard based upon this. Just to add a bit of fun to, you know, the lead up to airshow season and RIAT, etc. So, we're going to have a go at this. And if you want to get involved, I will put a post out on social media so you guys can make your own predictions, and we'll see who comes out on top. But I guess I will go with the first one, and my predictions are very, very Deutschland, very German. I have gone for my flying act being their tornado display, and I have gone my static being their new VIP transport, hitting all the themes here, A330 as being my two. I don't know why I went very German. I kind of just thought back to, was it 2022, and we had the German A340, because that was actually originally going to be my first guess, and then I realised they retired it, so, well, that wasn't going to be it. So I went with the A330, because the Germans are very good supporters of the show. And then also, for me, the idea behind the Tonka is I want to see a tornado flying. And that's about my reasoning in and out. It if we really want to get a pedantic, it doesn't fit the theme because it's a ground attack aircraft, not a fighter. But yeah, that's my two predictions, and we'll see whether or not I get those. Chloe, do you want to give us your two?
Yeah, so mine are very varied. I've gone for the Black Eagles flying, which might be a bit of a stretch, but I'm really hoping to see them,
Yeah.
whether it be this year or next year. And for static, I've gone for Greek Phantoms. Now, I would love to see them fly as well, but unfortunately, Dan said I couldn't have two guesses for flying, so I've gone for them for static. Because even if we just get them on static, it's still a massive catch for me, because you can't beat a Phantom.
Well, in all honesty, I would love to have gone for two flying, but I kind of didn't want to jinx the idea that we might get one flying, so
Yeah.
we went with static. But also, Black Eagles. I think that was my guess last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was hoping they might come back a bit early, but hey, they've been to Dubai this year, haven't they? So, my flying guess might have changed if I'd known the Saudi Hawks were coming back this year, because they've also come back with the new Mark 165s Hawks. So in the brand new paint scheme, which by the way is a beautiful paint scheme.
Which, if you haven't got them on social media, I'd highly recommend, because I post a lot daily when they're back.
Yes, yeah, they did a lot of posting with the Korean Black Eagles as well.
Yeah.
They did like their briefings, they did a fly pass together and stuff in Saudi Arabia, so that was quite cool.
And it's lovely seeing glimpses of the display through videos they post.
Yes, yeah, they do little snippets of it, which and also if you want to go and see the full display, Plains TV I think posted it as well, didn't they, on YouTube?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Okay, Harry, what are your two guesses? Because one of them was slightly controversial when you made it, but then actually, I said you could have it for a reason I'll discuss afterwards. So what are your two guesses?
Yes, for my static prediction, it's quite a safe bet. I'm probably going to sound quite cliche. It's a British Spitfire, because everyone talks about, you've always got your flying. Always got your flying Spitfires, but I think it's always good. I hope that there is going to be one that's static as well, so you can get up close and personal. That's my safe bet, a static bet. But my flying prediction is the replica ME-262, which has flown at RIAT before, and It was an absolute treat for me to see, because considering it is the replica, or the overall ME-262, is probably one of the first practical jet aircraft ever invented.
See, you actually caused a bit of controversy within our group about the Spitfire, because I think the first reaction probably was, whoa, Spitfire, really? But then I think we went and looked back, didn't we? I think me and you did, Chloe. And we went, actually, it's not actually that guaranteed a RIAT. It's almost every other year we get one on static, and it's not even that. So, actually, you saying it a safe bet, I mean, with it being a fighter year, the chances are probably. But I guess, with safe bets, and we're going to come on to safe bets very shortly in terms of guessing what should be attending RIAT. Some of you may already know where that may be going. But yeah, no, you say it's a safe bet, but actually it's 50-50.
Oh, that's Oh yeah, well, let's hopefully that it falls in my favour. But I do hope it would be nice, given the theme, to see the ME-262 flying again, because it was an absolute treat to see that year when it flew, and just being able to see a replica of one of the first, practical jet aircraft just flying was just an absolute treat.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, speaking of, I hate to end the podcast on a downer. We probably should have done this at the start, but I'm going to do it anyway. If any of you haven't seen, and again, this is not officially confirmed, so I am just going to go plain blanket this out. News arose probably about 2 weeks ago that the Red Arrows may miss most of July, if not all of July, and some more of June, to attend the 250-year anniversary shows, parades, celebrations in America, which means that the Red Arrows are going to be missing all sort of the main summer season for British air shows, including what you'd probably class as a Stonewall. The only time that they haven't attended was once before at RIAT, which was 1997? Might have been 1979. I can't remember if I'm getting those years the right way around. But yes, it's been announced that the Red Arrow, well, not officially, but Oshkosh announced it on one of their forum-y things. I don't even know, it kind of was just out the way. And yeah, they announced that the Red Arrows were not we're going to be going to Oshkosh. Now, Oshkosh literally starts on the Monday after RIAT, so that means there's no way that the Red Arrows are going to be there. And I think they're also going to be attending some other shows throughout July as well, which it sent me a little bit riled up, and I will not go into the amount of riled up that I did with that, but my 50 pence on it is that the Red Arrows have been over to the North America. They went over to Canada 2 years ago. They have been over in 2018 or 19 as well into America, and ultimately every time they go over, I can't remember if it was Jersey or Guernsey Airshow a couple of years ago when they went to North America, had to literally change their date so that their show was when the Red Arrows were back in the UK. And the UK airshow scene is very fragile, right? It's heavily based on the amount of people that turn up, on the success of the show, and it returning every single year. And with the Red Arrows just not being in the UK for most of July, you're missing some big shows. You're missing some shows that ultimately need the Red Arrows participation. Because as much as aviation enthusiasts like to say, excuse me, oh, it's only the Red Arrows, that's my lunch at RIAT. And which RIAT will survive. RIAT will survive without the Red Arrows. All they have to do is get another display team, and they are probably fine. But it's these other smaller shows that ultimately the Red Arrows are the big puller, especially the year now where the Lancaster is not flying this year. It's in deep maintenance for the year, which again is another crowd pull. Look, this has probably been in discussion for a couple of years now, but it just doesn't make much sense when you are going to destroy a lot of smaller airshow seasons. And again, I'm not going to go into a massive rant about it, but yeah, that's my 50 pence on it. I don't know what yours is, Chloe.
I think mine is that they should prioritise British air shows based on that, because you don't want to risk ruining air shows for people, and also it attracts families as well. And it what's the word? I can't think of the word.
I mean, yeah, you are right, and I hate to end the podcast on down because I don't want to, and ultimately, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And, Midlands are pulling MiG-17s and Headcorn will get in, and the Cobra, etc., which Headcorn could be one of the airshows that is affected by this. So ultimately, I really, really hope that it doesn't affect any of the airshows. I really hope it doesn't have much of an effect on everything they're going, and I hope they can get some good replacements in. But yeah, just for me, it's what do we get from the US back, which is not a lot, and yeah, just prioritise our own air shows.
No, I think the main disappointing thing here is that now it's completely thrown off our lunch schedule, which is to me is the more devastating aspect. Our entire lunch schedule has now been thrown out of the window. Now we have to plan a new one.
Oh well, it's fine. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out, indeed.
Right, anyway, instead of ending on a bad note, let's look back. We've got a MiG-17 potentially coming to the Midlands Air Festival. We've got an AH1 Cobra at Headcorn. Cosford announcements are back. RIAT announcements are back this Thursday, which will have the first set of announcements on the next podcast of what they're announcing. Hopefully, some cool things to kick off the year. Thursdays become meaningful once again, thank God. Gets you through some Thursdays. At the same time, let's be positive about this. We might not have the Red Arrows for some of this season, but if we're getting MiG-17s, we're getting AH1 Cobras, go and support your local air shows. Go to those shows that ultimately are not going to have the Red Arrows, because they're going to need the support this year. And yeah, that's my message. Go support those air shows.
And just enjoy the things they do have.
Yes.
And try. It could be a good time to find a new favourite as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Go enjoy the things that the air shows have got. Let's not dwell too much on what they haven't got, and let's stay positive about the season.
Yeah.
Indeed. I mean, I get to see a MiG-17, so I'm very happy.
And on that very happy note, that is the end of today's podcast. It's been a long one. It's been an absolute long one. We have been away for 3 weeks at the time, letting some of the announcements build up. But I don't think we could have lasted much longer with a MiG-17 going in as an announcement. So,
no, definitely not.
So we might as well have got that out of the way. We'll be back with another podcast in 2 or 3 weeks, depending on what's announced, with some more Cosford, some more RIAT, and I'm sure some more every other air show in the UK. Thank you for listening. Please make sure to follow us on social media to get involved with any of the talks that we have. And I'm also going to get some of your guys' predictions for RIAT this year. And other than that, enjoy your air shows. Enjoy the rest of whatever you're doing while listening to this. I've been Dan. Joining me have been Chloe and Harry. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.